Now, I honestly haven't cared too much about driver helmets in the past, but this year there's honestly some really good helmets that look really awesome. So I thought it'd be fun to give my ratings on all 20 drivers' helmets for the 2024 season. Let's get into it. So starting off with Haas and Hulkenberg, a pretty solid helmet. I think it looks pretty awesome. Honestly, I don't think there's a single terrible helmet. I think they all look pretty decent. There's not one that's just a complete waste trash bag or anything like that. They all look pretty solid, but there's certainly some standout ones this year, I think, that really caught my attention. But beginning with Hulkenberg, I am going with a 7 for Hulk. I think it looks really awesome. It's got some good contrast, and overall, I just like the colors that are involved in it. Really cool helmet in my opinion. Going on to Kevin Magnussen, I think an even funner helmet. It's got a beachy vibe, a lot more colors, which is kind of funny with the vibe considering where he's from. There's not much beach there. It's all cold and frigid out there. But yeah, I'm giving Magnussen's helmet a 9. I think it looks really awesome. One of my favorites on the grid, honestly. And for some reason, it was near impossible to find a single image of Magnussen's helmet. I don't know why. There's like next to none of them on the internet, but I managed to find one and think it looks really awesome. Going on to the Sauber drivers with Zhou Guan Yu. Pretty decent. I like it overall, particularly the back with some of the buildings that are on it. And yeah, so with that, I'm giving him a solid 7 out of 10. I think a really cool looking helmet and pretty decent overall. Now, Bottas, Joe's teammate, I mean, look at that beauty. The Northern Lights, come on. It looks absolutely insane. Not a doubt in my mind. That's a 10 out of 10 for me. If I could do an 11, I would certainly do that. I think it looks incredible. I absolutely love it. Definitely my favorite on the grid, I would have to say. Really dope helmet. Going on to the RB team with Daniel Ricciardo. Kind of a basic helmet, but I do think it looks pretty decent. And yeah, because of that, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as well. Yeah, pretty solid overall. Of course, it's still got the Red Bull colors in there, given they are Red Bull's second team. But yeah, some fun colors there. I'm sure Ricardo will have some really neat one-off helmets throughout the year, given he is the Honey Badger after all. So I'm sure we'll see some pretty cool helmets there. Now, Sonoda's helmet, I think, is way better than Ricardo's. I think it's really awesome helmet with all the fall leaves on it. And yeah, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. And I thought about going higher. Originally had a 9 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda's helmet, but it ended up being a little more sparse than I thought it was initially. I think it looks really incredible with the leaves, with the fall colors, but it was a little more barren than I thought it would be. But nonetheless, still one of my favorite helmets on the grid. Going on to the Williams pair. Starting off with Logan Sargent. Pretty fun and cool helmet, honestly. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's got that American theme there, and I think overall it just looks really cool. Not something you see all the time, given that there aren't many Formula One drivers that are American throughout the history, so it was pretty cool to see that one. However, his teammate, Alex Albon, I mean, once again, another clear, I think, 10 out of 10 in my book. I think that looks really awesome, even though it is relatively basic. I think the color pattern just looks really great together, and I think it came together really well. And yeah, probably my second favorite helmet on the grid. Looks really awesome from Albon. Going on to the Alpine pair, not too bad of helmets. I think they're pretty average to pretty decent, I think. Starting off with Gasly, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. So far my lowest rating. I don't think it was anything too special. I do like the color, but I do think it is a little more interesting than like Russell's, who has a similar color pattern, at least has some changes of color on it. So pretty decent overall. Not the worst, but certainly not my favorite. Ocon's, I like a bit more. I think it stands out a little more with that bright red and the black accents. And because of that, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Pretty solid helmet overall, I would have to say. Going on to the Aston Martin pair, Lance Stroll. Honestly, pretty basic. Nothing too crazy. It's got like the Aston Martin green, but not a lot of contrast, not a lot of change up in it that really makes it stand out. Nothing too special. Because of that, I'm giving it a solid 5 right down the middle. I think it's pretty average. Not too much to contrast or change about it, but okay, I suppose. Going on to his teammate Alonso. This might be a little controversial, but I think it's not as good as maybe some people feel that it is. I think it's okay, kind of like Stroll's. I don't feel any particularly better or worse about it than how I feel about Stroll's. And because of that, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I think it's pretty right down the middle. I don't particularly like the colored pattern that he has. And yeah, I think it's just okay, I suppose. Nothing too crazy there. Moving on to the McLaren drivers. Starting with Oscar Piastri. Honestly, a little disappointed in this one. I feel like there's a lot happening. It's a little too much happening. There's a lot of different colors, but I don't feel like any of it really comes together as nicely as I would like it to. And because of that, I'm giving it the lowest rating so far, 4 out of 10. So yeah, not too impressed with Piastri's helmet. Now his teammate Norris, I feel like a lot of people certainly really like this helmet, and I can see why. I think it's a pretty fun and unique helmet, but it is a little basic, and I don't know, I'm not as blown away as I thought I would be. Norris has definitely had some cool helmets in the past, like the basketball one of last year, so I'm sure he'll have some cool one-offs, and this one's definitely pretty neat. I think my main gripe with it is the monster stripe going through it. I don't know, I feel like it doesn't really match too well. Different greens going on there, and yeah, just not my favorite overall, so giving it a 6 out of 10. Might be a little controversial. I feel like people really like it, but not my favorite overall. Moving on to the Ferrari drivers with Charles Leclerc. Yeah, I feel like it's Ferrari, they're going to be red. It's not going to be anything too different or crazy. And just like their car, it's going to be red with maybe some black, maybe some white, maybe some yellow. And that's kind of what their helmets are like this year. Nothing too special. And yeah, because of that, I'm giving Leclerc a 6 out of 10 here as well. Sainz, pretty decent as well, kind of similar to Leclerc's, just has a bit more black in it. And I don't know, I honestly like Leclerc's a little more. I feel like it comes together a little nicer, and I just like the overall pattern a bit more, even though there is a bit less contrast than maybe Sainz has. But I do like Leclerc's a little more, so giving Sainz a 5 out of 10. Right down the middle, pretty decent. It's like the Ferrari. It's going to be red, nothing too crazy. Now, the Mercedes duo, starting with George Russell. I kind of mentioned this earlier alongside Gasly. Kind of a similar color pattern to what Gasly has, but I think it's a little more boring and bland, to be honest with you. I feel like there's not as much contrast, and yeah, a little disappointed in it overall. I feel like it's nothing too showy or anything like that. Because of that, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10 as well, kind of down the middle. Like it a bit less than Gasly's, but certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Now Hamilton's, a pretty standard helmet for Hamilton that he's had for a while. He's got the stars on the side, and yeah, the purple and the bright like yellow-green highlighter. I think it looks pretty decent. It's not my all-time favorite. But I think it's better than most helmets. I think it really stands out and is pretty neat. It is a little tough, though, I think, with Norris going on this similar highlighter green style that they do kind of take away from each other. But I still do like it a bit more with that contrasting purple that Hamilton is known for. So giving it a 7 out of 10. Lastly, on to the Red Bull drivers. Now, these were really disappointing to me. I feel like they're really bland and basic, and I don't know, I feel like they just have the most team branding on them. Like, all I see is the Red Bull colors, and I don't mind the Red Bull colors normally, but I feel like they are really basic, and I don't know, it just doesn't come together very well for me. Not a huge fan of them. I think there's a lot more that they could have done with it, even using all of the brand colors. But yeah, because of that, I'm giving Verstappen a 4 out of 10. Yeah, not really my favorite. I don't think it's terrible, 1 to 3 grading by any means. But yeah, I think it's below average, subpar. And same with Perez, honestly. not much difference between the two helmets, and yeah, not particularly my favorite, along with Piastri's there. So yeah, nothing too crazy. So those are my rankings for all of the driver's helmets for 2024. Do I have terrible opinions? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.